It is the first Saturday of August, and you are cleaning out the pantry because the shelf paper has needed changing since spring, and today is the day. And you do what you have been trained your whole life to do. You pick up each bag and box and jar, and you turn it over and you look for the little stamped date. The bag of rice says best by March of last year. Into the trash. The box of baking soda, expired. Into the trash. The jar of honey has gone thick and grainy and white at the bottom, so it must be spoiled. Into the trash. The bag of beans is 3 years old. The vinegar, the cornstarch, the syrup you were saving for company. By the middle of the afternoon, there's a trash bag by the door with maybe $40 of food in it, and you carry it out to the bin, and you stand there a moment holding the lid because something in you flinches. Your grandmother watched you do that from somewhere, friend, and she covered her eyes, because more than half of what is in that bag is perfectly good. Some of it is not merely good. Some of it was never capable of going bad at all. Now I want you to sit with this a moment, because here's the part nobody ever told you, and it will sound backward. Most of those little stamped dates are not safety dates. They never were. They are the maker's guess about peak flavor, and in many cases they are simply the date past which the company would rather you bought a new one. And hidden among the goods on your pantry shelf, there are foods that do not merely last past the date. There are foods that, kept dry and sealed, do not expire at all, not in a year, not in 10. Some of them have been found still good after thousands of years. Every farm wife in this country once knew exactly which foods those were because her family's winter depended on the knowing. She could not run to a store in January. Her pantry was her store. And not one part of what I'm about to give you is complicated, and none of it costs more than ordinary groceries. And any man or woman watching can learn the whole list in 20 minutes and never again throw away good food because of a stamp. I am Pastor Eli. I have kept a country parish and a country pantry for the better part of 40 years, and I learned this standing at my grandmother's elbow in a cellar lined with jars that had no dates on them at all, because she did not need dates. She knew what keeps. Today I am going to give you the whole of it. The 13 foods that never expire. Salt, sugar, white rice, dried beans, wheat berries, dried corn, white vinegar, baking soda, cornstarch, instant coffee, maple syrup, soy sauce, and honey. I will give you the plain reason each one keeps, because once you understand the why, you will never need a list again. The very first one is the most important, for it is the reason half the others work at all. And the 13th, the last one, is the reason I made this video, because it is the food they found in the tombs of the kings of Egypt, sealed in the dark for 3,000 years, and still good. One word before I go on. The old ways I keep, there is more of it than fits in any one video. I gathered the whole of it into a book, and you will find it at pastoreliwhitfield.com. It is called Waste Nothing, and it is a manual and not a sermon, with a real price on every material and an honest word on every limit. I will not mention it again. If you want it, you know where it is. Now, before the first food, let me give you the one piece of understanding that carries all 13, and it is this. Food does not spoil because of time. Time never rotted anything. Food spoils because tiny, living things, the molds and the bacteria, move in and eat it before you do. And those tiny things need the same things every living creature needs. They need water most of all, and they like air and warmth and light. So the foods that never expire are simply the foods where the water is gone or locked up so tight that nothing alive can use it. A dry food, a salted food, a sugared food, an acid food is a food where nothing can live. It is not preserved exactly. It is uninhabitable. Hold that one idea, and the whole list will make sense as it comes. The first food, and the most important of the 13, is plain salt. Salt does not expire. It cannot. It is not, strictly speaking, food at all. It is a mineral, a rock, ground fine, and a rock does not rot. The salt in your shaker is the same substance that has sat in the earth since the world was young, and it will be the same substance in 100 years. Buy plain salt, keep it dry, and it is eternal. But that is only half of why salt leads this list. The other half is what salt does, and it is the engine behind half the pantry. Salt pulls water out of things. It draws moisture the way a dry sponge draws a spill, and any small living thing that lands in it or near it is dried out and dead before it can begin. That is why the old people packed meat in salt barrels and fish in salt crates and butter in salt crocks. Salt was the refrigerator before the refrigerator. A few big boxes of plain salt cost a couple of dollars and hold the whole history of food keeping inside them. One note of care with the modern kind. Iodized salt keeps just as safely, but the iodine fades over the years, so the salt stays good while that added benefit quietly goes. Plain salt for the deep pantry, iodized for the table. And you are covered both ways. The second food is sugar, and it is salt's twin. Plain white sugar never spoils, and it never spoils for the same reason. It is so hungry for water that nothing can live in it. A mold spore that lands on dry sugar is like a man falling into a desert with no canteen. The sugar pulls the water out of him, and that is the end of it. White sugar will go hard as a brick if damp air gets at it, and folks throw out hardened sugar thinking it has gone bad. It is not. Hard sugar is still perfect sugar. Break it up or set a slice of bread in the container overnight and it softens right back. Brown sugar hardens faster because of the molasses in it, and it is just as good hard as soft. Sugar has no date in any real sense, only a texture. The third food is white rice, and here is where I must stop you, because this one carries the trap that catches nearly everyone. White rice, kept dry and sealed, keeps for 25, 30 years and more. The great storehouses that plan in decades keep white rice by the ton, and it comes out of those sealed cans a generation later and cooks up like it was bought last week. But brown rice, the one we are all told is the healthier choice, and at the table it is, goes rancid in 6 months to a year. And here is the why, and it is worth more than the fact. Brown rice still wears its bran, its outer coat, and that coat is full of natural oil. And oil is the traitor in every pantry. Fat goes rancid. Air finds it and turns it slowly, the way air turns a cut apple brown, and no seal on earth stops it forever. White rice has had the oily coat polished away, and what is left is nearly pure dry starch. And dry starch is a stone. So hear the rule under the rule, for it will guide you through the whole list. The fats die first. Whatever is oily, keep small and use fresh. Whatever is dry and lean, that is what you store deep. Brown rice for this month's table. White rice in glass or a sealed pail for the years. The fourth food is dried beans, and this one asks a little honesty of me, so here it is. Dried beans, kept dry, are safe to eat indefinitely. 10 years, 20, 30. Nothing harmful happens to them. But I would be a poor shepherd if I told you a 20-year-old bean cooks like a fresh one, for it does not. As the years pass, a dried bean slowly hardens. The skin toughens and the inside sets. And a very old bean can simmer half a day and still fight you. It is not spoiled, it is stubborn. So here's the old fix and the modern one. Soak the old beans a full day and night. Change the water once and give them a long, slow cooking, and most will surrender. And a pressure cooker, if you keep one, breaks even the stubbornest old bean in an hour. Beans are the cheapest protein a pantry can hold. A few dollars for a bag that feeds a family for a week. Store them deep, eat through them steady, and let none of them get old enough to argue. The fifth food is one almost nobody stores anymore, and the old folks would be amazed at the forgetting. Wheat berries, not flour. Hear the difference, for it is the whole point. Flour is wheat that has been ground open, and the moment the kernel is broken, its inner oils meet the air, and the clock starts. Whole wheat flour goes stale in months, but the whole wheat berry, the unbroken kernel, is a living seed, sealed by the Lord's own design in a hard little coat, built to survive winters in the open ground. Kept dry and sealed away from air, wheat berries stay good for 30 years and more. The old homesteads did not keep sacks of flour through the years. They kept wheat, and they ground it into flour the week they baked with it. And the bread from fresh ground wheat is a thing you do not forget. A hand-grain mill costs less than a nice dinner out. And a bucket of wheat berries costs less than the pizza that feeds your family once. The seed keeps, the broken seed dies. That is the lesson of the wheat, and it is half a sermon by itself, but I will let it lie. The sixth food follows the same law. Dried corn, the whole hard kernel. Dent corn for grinding into meal, or plain popcorn, which is nothing but a small hard corn, and is the easiest whole grain in America to buy, sealed and dry. Whole corn keeps for decades, and it fails the moment you grind it, for cornmeal carries the germ in its oil and goes stale within the year. So the rule repeats, store the kernel, grind as you go. And I will tell you a small thing about popcorn worth knowing. When old popcorn stops popping well, it is not spoiled. It is merely dried too far, for it is the little bit of water inside the kernel that makes the pop. Shake the kernels in a jar with a spoonful of water. Let them sit 3 days and they pop like new. Nothing was dead. It was only thirsty. The seventh food is white vinegar, and with it we change weapons, from dryness to acid. Plain white vinegar keeps forever, not a long time. Forever. It is acid, and acid is a country where the spoilage creatures cannot live any more than they can live in dry salt. The jug in your cupboard will outlast the cupboard. And vinegar earns its shelf twice over, for it is not only a food, but a keeper of other foods, the pickling liquid that carried cucumbers and beets and eggs and peppers through the winters of this country for 200 years. A gallon costs about $2. If you walked with me through the laundry video, you know it earns its keep in the wash house too. There is no cheaper insurance in the store. The eighth food is baking soda. And like salt, it is a mineral, not a creature of the field, and minerals do not die. The box says Best Buy, and the box is being modest. Baking soda keeps indefinitely. The only thing that ages is its strength as a leavener, for it slowly trades its fire away if it sits open to damp air. And here is the old test, 10 seconds at the sink. Drop a spoonful into a splash of vinegar. If it foams up angry and lively, it is good, and it will raise your biscuits. If it barely sighs, keep it for scrubbing and open a new box for the baking. Nothing thrown away either way, for even tired baking soda still cleans a sink and sweetens a drain as well as the day it was made. Before I give you the last 5, let me pause for a moment. If these old ways are worth something to you, subscribe and walk along with me. I put out one of these every week, and it costs you nothing. Now, the last 5, among them is the one that stopped an army's rations from spoiling, the one the label tells you to fear and need not be feared, and the 13th, the one they lifted out of a king's tomb after 3,000 years in the dark and tasted and found good. Stay with me, friend, for the best of the pantry is still ahead. The 9th food is corn starch, and it is the quietest thing on the shelf. Pure dry starch, with the oil of the corn germ removed, which is exactly why it keeps when cornmeal does not. Sealed against damp, cornstarch lasts indefinitely, thickening gravies and puddings for a generation off one box. It asks only one thing, that it stay bone dry, for like sugar it will drink moisture out of humid air and cake. Dry, dark, sealed, and it is immortal. The 10th food is instant coffee, and I confess this one surprises folks every time. Fresh roasted beans are an oily, living, fading thing, at their best for weeks, not years. For the fats die first, as you now know. But instant coffee has had everything volatile driven out of it. It is coffee dried down to its bones, and dry bones keep. Sealed jars of instant coffee stay drinkable for 20 years and more. Now, I will be honest, as I always am. No man ever called instant coffee the finest cup of his life. But on a cold morning years from now, when the stores are far or the times are lean, a hot, bitter cup with a spoon of that eternal sugar in it is not a small comfort. It is civilization in a mug. A few jars in the deep pantry cost little and keep a household human. The 11th food is pure maple syrup, and mind the word pure, for the pancake-flavored bottle is another creature entirely. Real maple syrup is sap boiled down until it is so dense with sugar that unopened it keeps indefinitely, the sweetness itself standing guard the way it does in honey. The care comes after opening, for an open jug wants the icebox. And even then, if a film of mold ever forms on the top, the old sugar makers did not weep and pour it out. They skimmed the film, brought the syrup to a boil for a minute, and went on with breakfast, for the syrup beneath is dense beyond spoiling. Buy it unopened on sale in the spring when the sugar houses sell, and it is a sweetness your grandchildren can pour. The 12th food is soy sauce, and it stands here as the proof that salt keeps its promises. An unopened bottle of naturally brewed soy sauce keeps for years upon years, and opened in the icebox it goes on nearly as long, for it is so heavy with salt that nothing dares live in it. It is the same law as the salt barrel and the brine crock, written in a different alphabet. The flavor mellows and darkens with the years, but spoil it does not. One bottle deep in the pantry turns a pot of that eternal white rice and those patient old beans into supper instead of survival. And a pantry that can make supper is a pantry that keeps a family's spirits as well as its stomachs. And now the 13th, the one I have been walking you toward the whole way, the reason I sat down to make this video: honey. When the archaeologists opened the tombs of the kings of Egypt, they found what kings take into the dark: gold and grain, and sealed pots of honey. And the honey, friend, after 3,000 years was still honey, not a relic of honey. Honey, thick, golden, and by every account still sweet and still good. 3,000 years. Kingdoms rose and fell, languages were born and died, and the honey sat in the dark and did not change, because honey cannot change. It is nearly waterless, it is quietly acid, and the bees themselves seal into it a gentle trace of the same purifying compound folks keep in the medicine cabinet, so that nothing that lands in honey survives the landing. It is the only food on this list made by another creature, and that creature made it better than we have ever made anything. So when your honey goes thick and grainy and pale in the jar, hear me now, for this is the one that filled that trash bag at the start. Crystallized honey is not spoiled honey. It is not even slightly spoiled. It is sugar settling into crystals, which is a thing honey does when it is real and raw, and the fake corn syrup blends on the shelf do not do it. So the crystals are, if anything, a mark of honesty. Set the jar in a bowl of warm water, not boiling, just warm, and stir now and then, and inside the hour it pours like the day you bought it. You will never throw out a jar of honey again as long as you live. One word of care, and it is the one place on this whole list where I speak as gravely as I know how. Honey is never, ever to be given to a baby under 1 year old. Not a taste on a spoon, not a dab on a pacifier, nothing. There is a rare something in raw honey that a grown body shrugs off and an infant's body cannot, and it is dangerous to the little ones. Past the first birthday, honey is a blessing. Before it, never. Tell your daughters and your granddaughters plainly the way I have told you. Now let me take a moment, because here is where it all comes together. There. Look at what we have walked through. Salt and sugar, the two rocks that dry out every invader. White rice with its oily coat polished off, while brown rice dies in the cupboard, for the fats die first. The patient beans that never spoil but harden, and the long soak that softens them. The wheat berry and the corn kernel, the living seeds that keep for 30 years until the grinding breaks them open. Vinegar, the acid country where nothing can live. Baking soda, the mineral with the 10-second fizz test. Cornstarch, dry and quiet and immortal. Instant coffee, dried down to its everlasting bones. Maple syrup and soy sauce, sweetness and salt standing their own guard. And honey, the food of the bees and the pharaohs that came out of a 3,000-year darkness, still fit for your biscuit. 13 foods, not one of them fancy, all of them together, a deep pantry for less than one family trip to a restaurant. And now the small honest word about those stamped dates, for I promised you the truth of them, and I keep my promises. The dates on packaged food in this country are, with a few exceptions, quality dates, not safety dates. Best by means the maker vouches for peak flavor until then, and quietly hopes you will restock after. And every bag of good rice and every box of good soda that goes into the trash on the strength of that stamp is a sale rung up twice for the same pantry. I am not telling you anyone schemed it so. Nobody had to. It simply pays to have a date on the box, and it pays nothing at all to teach a family which foods have no date at all. And so, over 2 generations, a country that once knew what keeps came to throw away food that the pharaohs could not kill. But hear the exceptions as plainly as the rule, for I will not send you off careless. On fresh meat, on milk and the soft dairy, on eggs past their reason, and above all on infant formula, where the date is a true safety date fixed by law. You mind those dates every time, no cleverness about it. The 13 on this list are forever. The icebox is not. A wise pantry knows the difference, and now you do. So here is what I want you to do this Saturday. Go to the store with $20, no more, and bring home the beginnings of a deep pantry. A few boxes of salt, a bag of sugar, a big bag of white rice, 2 bags of beans, a jug of vinegar, a couple boxes of baking soda, a jar of honey. Then come home and do what my grandmother did with every last thing she kept. For you have heard me say it before, and it is truer here than anywhere. Out of the paper and the plastic, and into glass jars and lidded pails, sealed tight, set somewhere cool and dark and dry. The paper bag is an open door, and the glass jar is a fortress. And on the jars, no dates. Write instead what she wrote, the name of the thing, and the year it went in, not the year it must leave, for these have no such year. The Lord told a story about 10 young women waiting through the night for a wedding, 5 wise and 5 foolish, and the difference between them was one thing only. The wise ones bought their oil while the shops were open, and trimmed their lamps, and were ready when the cry came at midnight. The foolish ones were no worse of heart, they were only late. They went to buy oil when the hour had already come, and the door was shut. That parable is about far more than pantries, friend, and I would not shrink it. But it teaches the shape of wisdom in every earthly thing. Readiness is bought in the daylight, at leisure, at low cost, or it is bought at midnight, in panic, at any price, or not at all. A shelf of quiet jars, filled in the calm of an ordinary August, is the lamp trimmed and the oil bought. Not fear, friend, faithfulness. There is a difference, and the wise virgins knew it. Now tell me in the comments below, what is the oldest thing in your pantry right now that is still perfectly good? Go and look. And did your mother or your grandmother keep a deep shelf, a cellar, a store of things with no dates on them? Tell me what she kept and how she kept it, and tell me your state. For the damp of the Gulf and the dry of the high plains keep a pantry very differently. And I like to map the old ways by where you all write from. I read every single one. Next time, we deal with the small visitors that a well-stocked pantry invites. For as sure as you lay in the sugar, the ants will send their scouts to find it. I am going to show you the 50-cent bait the old folks set out, the one the ants carry home to the whole colony themselves, and the one thing you must never do to the trail while they work. It is the natural next step after today, and I hope you will walk it with me. Until then, look well to what you have been given, waste nothing, and God bless.